And I came from a family where the less money you spent, the better. The idea was to spend as little as possible. So Starbucks was like the way you ruined your life. Like going to spend $4 on a drink, that was like the way you just totally threw your financial life into the gutter because you can make coffee at home. So for me, there was a period of time in my 20s where that like $4 or $5 Starbucks was an act of fucking rebellion. I make around $100,000 at a corporate job as a project manager, but the money doesn't feel like it's mine. It goes to rent, bills, loans, food, etc. And I mostly spend it all. It also feels impossible to go beyond 100K unless I get an MBA, a master's, etc. Would love to hear your thoughts. Well, the idea that you can't earn more money without some certificate or piece of paper is fundamentally not true. So even if it's standard in your industry and most people don't make more money until they have this thing or that thing, that doesn't mean that that's the only way to have more money. So in my experience working with a lot of people around money, there are always unseen ways that we haven't allowed ourselves to conceive yet. As long as you say inside yourself, well, I can't have more than this because, you create a life where you can't have more than this because, right? But once you begin to say, I am abundant and my income and my wealth and my financial well-being are always expanding because that's the way it is, and money-making opportunities are always presented to me, and I am excelling in my job and in every area of my life that brings financial prosperity, as that's your dominant vibration, there's suddenly a position, a raise, a move into another industry, another company, another this, that, or whatever. Who cares what it's going to be? You can just decide it'll be the most aligned thing for you. But do you get what I'm saying? The idea that it's capped because that's the norm in your industry is the only thing that actually has to change. Once you believe in limitless possibilities, there tends to be more space for limitless possibilities. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean what you've observed isn't true. It just means it's not the ultimate truth. You feel me? As far as the money not feeling like yours, God, I get that. I so do. And so many people feel that way when they're at the beginning on starting to do a lot of work around money. So the thing is, it is yours. It is yours. That check is yours. And you've created, it's all you. You've created it all. So every bill you pay is something you chose to pay. The apartment you live in is an apartment you chose. You chose the apartment, you chose the rent. This is your money, and you're dispersing it in the ways you have chosen at this time. And there are realities where it could be dispersed in different other ways, with different amounts of rent, different kinds of food, different whatevers. But it is yours. You are responsible for it, and you can have a different experience with it. So one thing I'd really encourage you to do is just know you can create different experiences with how much money you have, where the money goes, and how it feels to go to those places. Let's just imagine that that is possible, and that is where you're going. Secondly, can you do something to remind yourself that the money is fucking yours? I don't honestly care if it's a $15 purchase, a $5 purchase, a $100 purchase. It's kind of irrelevant. But can you do something where you go buy something just because you want it, and just because the money is yours, and just because it's fucking up to you? Like, this is gonna sound really silly, but bear with me. When I was, a girl from Sand Springs, Oklahoma, living in Oklahoma, without any money at all, and I came from a family where the less money you spent, the better. The idea was to spend as little as possible. So Starbucks was like the way you ruined your life. Like going to spend $4 on a drink, that was like the way you just totally threw your financial life into the gutter because you can make coffee at home. So for me, there was a period of time in my 20s where that like $4 or $5 Starbucks was an act of fucking rebellion to spend money the way I wanted to, and to delight in my overpriced drink. But like at the time, it was the luxury experience for me. And holding the cup and being in the experience and drinking the drink was a vibe that put me in charge of my money, put me in charge of my life, reminded me that I would spend in ways that felt good to me based on the experience and the energy I was creating through spending. So I was creating a luxury experience with $4. My point would be that how you choose to feel when you pay your rent and how you choose to feel when you pay a bill or buy food is you can choose to feel like, ugh, I don't even have any choice as I sign this rent check or swipe this card or whatever. Or you can feel like, I am so fucking supported by this roof over my head. I am so supported by this food I get to eat. You can feel abundant and blessed and supported every time you spend or use any amount of money. And that's one reality. I feel that way 99% of the time when I spend, no matter what I'm spending on. My default idea is that spending is good, spending supports me, and I'm grateful and joyful for everything I have to spend on. I talk about this in my spending chapter of the money book, chapter 5, but I talk about how like even taxes, I'm delighted in. As I make a big multiple six-figure tax payment, I'm just like, thank God. Money paid to the government means money made. We are successful. Hallelujah. Like, as I make that payment, I'm like, thank the Lord for the roads and the firefighters and the schools, making the payment. Now, I'm not actually analyzing what Trump is doing with that money or whatever. I'm not like getting myself into some kind of like rut around it. I'm staying in a positive vibration with every time I release money. I do not release money without feeling good about it. So when I notice that I don't want to pay someone, don't want to pay for a thing, I don't feel good about some expense in my life, that means that that expense either needs to change, like rearrange. Like if you don't fucking like paying your cable bill, maybe you need to call and see if there's a different cable package or something. So the expense either needs to be eliminated, be changed or rearranged, or I need to adjust my fucking attitude. Because the dynamics and relationship I have with money is one where I feel good every time I receive and I feel good every time I spend. I'm not fucking with that flow. Feel me?